I believe a beautiful garden can make a real difference to people's lives.
Oh my God! Oh, it's beautiful!
So my team and I are travelling the country, meeting special people whose lives will be turned around by giving them a dream garden. This week,
You must be Chris.
we help a George Cross hero who's rebuilding his life after a tremendous act of bravery.
I survived that terrible thing, so now I feel like I almost have to do something worthwhile with what's left.
One small step for a gardener.
To help this brave soldier and his family look to the future.
Open your eyes. Oh my.
Wow.
Welcome to Love Your Garden.
I'm in the sunniest county in Britain, Cornwall, in the village of Goonhaven near Truro.
On the face of it, the family I've come here to meet is perfectly ordinary. But father of three, Chris Finney, is anything but.
When it came to his career, there was only ever one choice for Chris: the army.
It was just all he ever wanted to do from being a little boy, and I don't know where it came into his head, but he just had this idea that the army was for him.
In 2003, his unit was deployed to the front line in Iraq. Chris was 18 years old.
I had to think the best, because obviously you don't want the worst to happen. But yeah, inside it was, oh my God, I don't want him to go.
Chris had been in Iraq for 1 week when, on the 28th of March 2003, tragedy struck.
There was a knock at the door quite late at night, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, something like that.
And I just heard, "Are you Chris's dad?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm from the army, it's about Chris."
Looks like we got more panels on though. Do you have any members in this area?
I couldn't stop crying because it was just, gate had opened of what has happened, something's happened.
The armoured vehicle Chris was driving was mistaken for the enemy and hit by a US A-10 anti-tank aircraft in a friendly fire incident. Within seconds, it was ablaze.
Then they realised that they were actually being fired on from American planes rather than Iraqis, so were told to evacuate the vehicles and run for cover.
But Chris knew his colleague Alan Tudball was still inside the burning vehicle, so he went back in.
Alan was stuck in a turret, and Chris's first instinct was get him out.
Chris was dragging Alan out of harm's way when the planes returned for a second attack.
They fired at Chris and Alan as well, and I think both of them were hit, but Chris put his body between Alan and the plane.
Despite being wounded in the lower back and legs, Chris tried to save another colleague, Matty Hull, but it was too late.
He was so upset that he couldn't help Matty out of there. There was just nothing they could do.
Chris was awarded the George Cross for bravery, the youngest serviceman ever to receive it.
For him to risk his own life and put it in danger, he's very deservedly been awarded the GC. His actions, an 18-year-old, was nothing short of remarkable.
Since leaving the army, Chris has slowly rebuilt his life and has settled in Cornwall with wife Liz and their 3 children. But their garden is a mess, which may surprise you because Chris now runs a garden centre. So his colleagues gave me a call, and I thought, what better way to say thank you to this heroic man and help him with his new venture
Hello.
than building him a garden.
Well, I'm all right, but don't tell anybody I'm here.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to go and hide.
Okay.
Big surprise coming.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
I'm looking for a nice, meaty shrub. Look at that. What a lovely shaped plant. Full of bud, a rhododendron, beautiful. Perfect for what I have in mind. Hello, can I have this rhododendron, please? How are you?
Not bad, thank you. Are you?
You must be Chris.
I am. Pleased to meet
It's
you.
lovely to see you. Is this Liz?
This is my wife,
Liz,
Liz, yeah.
now it's Liz's fault, this. But how come a man who has a garden centre now has got a garden that isn't much anything like?
Well, we don't get the time at the minute. We don't.
Right.
We're here every day. We don't. We've got the 3 daughters at home. We've never.
Do you know, I've used all these excuses
they're not
myself.
working.
I'm not working, are they? Oh, dear. But, I mean, what would it mean to have a garden?
Oh, blimey, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic for the children more than
Yeah.
for anything, you know, somewhere to play in.
Well, can we go and see this
Yeah.
patch from hell? then, and
Yes,
see what
please.
it's like?
Let's do it.
So not only has this garden to cope with you, it's got to cope with these 3 girls.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's quite sort of bland. There's nothing much in it, is there?
You're right there. It's boring.
Yeah. You agree with that, Mum?
Yeah, definitely.
And the girls will probably agree with that as
Yeah.
well. This road that runs along here, do you get coaches coming past?
Yeah.
Yes.
And have a really good look in?
Yeah.
we do. And they are absolutely dreadful.
So privacy would be good.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the garden, you've got a little bit of paving here, a bit of terracing here. Presumably you want somewhere to dine, do you?
Definitely, yeah. We do enjoy to
Yeah.
come out in the evenings
You
after
enjoy
work.
that in the evenings, don't you? I can see that. There's a sort of flower bed on the right here.
Yes. These are plants that maybe weren't doing so well or have hung around for a long time at the
right.
garden centre. We've brought them home and given them a home.
Oh, I see. So this is the convealescent home.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Shed vital? Needed?
Storages.
Right.
Because we have no garage.
Yeah, we do find that.
Greenhouse,
Yes.
which is growing a lovely selection of children's toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do seem to multiply as well.
You're a better grower than you think you are, Chris, clearly. In your dreams, you come out of that door, what will you see? What would you find?
Blimey. Play equipment
Yeah.
of some description
For the girls?
for the girls.
Yeah.
I've always said I'd love to have a veg bed,
Yeah.
but of course that just, it's pointless.
Well, if it were tiny,
Tiny veg, yeah.
presumably not a lot of maintenance in that you both work
Yes.
all day.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you come home, you don't want to be endlessly working. Pottering,
Yes.
but
Yes,
not
Yes.
work.
Quite right.
definitely.
Right, let's try and give you a garden that Erin comes into and goes, wow.
I think we've a great opportunity here. As well as building a lovely family garden, we could also help Chris develop his green-fingered skills. So I'm packing them off for a few days
See you soon.
Bye.
and letting the boys tackle the basics. Which means, apart from the shed, everything else is coming out. I need to come up with the right style of garden for the Finneys. So I'm heading to the beautiful bay at nearby St. Mawes, where I've heard there's a garden that just might fit the bill. Forget rustic fences and flowery arches. There's nothing twee about this space.
This is a modern garden, a style of which I think would suit Liz and Chris down to the ground. It has clean geometrical lines, not just straight ones, but curves as well, and circles and changes in level. And the materials used here are quite light-coloured, which means that even on the dullest day, they seem to be a bit brighter. And here, well, the view's just sensational.
They may not have the view, But this type of light-coloured hard landscaping would definitely brighten up the Finney's inward-looking plot.
Up on the top deck, the geometrical theme continues with this wonderful curving trough, painted creamy white and topped not with box, but with euonymus. And I do like seats in a garden, so that trough becomes somewhere to sit.
Using hard landscaping in this way keeps the planting under control and is easier to maintain, which is what we want in Truro. And I like the type of materials they're using too. This is composite decking. It looks as warm and textured as wood, but it's non-slip, ideal for tiny feet. But this is a grown-up garden. There's not a climbing frame in sight, and a swimming pool with open access wouldn't be suitable for young children. So I'd like to try something I've never tried before, creating a garden like this that the kids will love too.
What I'd like to do is to take all these elements and give them an even more futuristic twist so that I can take the Finney's to infinity and beyond.
I can't wait to get back to the garden and share my thoughts with my team. David Dominy, Katie Rushworth and Francis Tophill.
Now then, here's our shape, but I want you all to think modern, think ahead. We've got to give Chris and Liz a garden here, which is going to take them on as a family. Tiny children growing up, somewhere to grow into. David, that's your area there. Can you give me some sort of seating around the
Yeah, we'll do seating.
And I'd like to get changes of level in there. And
Well, do you want some raised beds in that? Will
yes,
that do?
please. Perfect. But really crisp raised beds. I don't want sort of rustic-looking ones at all. Nothing rustic in this garden.
Okay. Can I ask one favour?
Yeah.
Can I get rid of that spiky fence?
Well, you can, as long as we can still give them privacy.
Okay, I'll come up with something for that.
So, yeah, it doesn't look very modern, that. Francis, beyond David, down in that corner, over there, that's where I want you to concentrate on a children's area. We've got little tinies here. So they need to be a part of it as well.
And you want it modern?
Please.
Children make mess, and mess is not modern.
Do I know? Katie, the shed is going to move across to that side, but I want you to tackle this side here, and I'm thinking particularly with architectural planting, because you're good on planting.
So a nice big bold foliage and kind of a nice modern contemporary planting palette.
Yes, please.
Right then.
That would be lovely. I'm going to work down the middle, and I'm going to do something I hope quite exciting down at that bottom
Is that
end.
A for exciting?
It's A for absolutely exciting. Come on, off we go.
We're boldly going where no gardeners have gone before. Our challenge is to turn this bland rectangle into a vision of tomorrow for a family of 5. Just as in the garden at St Maur's, the landscaping is going to be critical. And David's wasting no time. The old fence is coming out. And the cement mixers at warp factor 5. David and the boys are creating giant L-shaped planters from breeze blocks. But to ensure we get those clean, modern lines, each one has to be perfectly rendered.
To make sure we have got a good line finish at the top and the side, we're putting this beading on. Then we put a base coat onto the top, which really sticks onto the blockwork. Then we put a line of mesh all the way around the outside, and that's great because it stops the render from cracking. And finally, we put on the top coat.
David is putting one in each corner to break up the rectangular plot and frame the interior space. But I think we'll need something even more dramatic for the bottom of the garden.
I want to make this a really memorable garden for Chris and his family, but what I need is a sort of futuristic focal point at the very end. And I think I've got just the idea. Stroke of genius.
We're in Truro, Cornwall, building a garden for Chris Finney, whose acts of extraordinary bravery during the Iraq War won him the George Cross.
In the whole period of the Iraq War, there were only 2 George Crosses awarded, so it's extremely rare.
Chris is one of only 13 living George Cross winners in Britain.
It was simply amazing to behave in the cool-headed way in which he did. I mean, it was incredible.
But after such an extraordinary event, Chris found it hard to adjust to civilian life.
He was floating at first. He was finding it difficult. Things weren't working out. He was bored.
So he kind of scratched around working in call centres and not really enjoying it.
And I could tell he wasn't happy. But doing what he's doing now has certainly changed it all around. And I think he's in his element now.
With wife Liz, 3 beautiful daughters and a business, life has changed for Chris. But I want to talk to him about what happens to our heroes after the dust has settled, so I'm giving him a hand at his garden centre.
Did it go on? No, it didn't.
New staff on here today.
Yeah, so as you can see, you just can't get the staff. Pop your card in, I'm looking away.
You've not put the total in yet.
Oh, hey. Whoa! I like this, it's like playing shops when you're a kid.
Are you staying all day?
Apparently. The incident for which you got your George Cross is incredibly dramatic. What do you remember of that period immediately afterwards?
It was just a complete whirlwind, to be honest with you. All of a sudden, everybody kind of wants a piece of you, and you must do this, and you've got to say that, and da-da-da. So you're on the ranges, and you don't hit every single target. Someone will say, well, oh, you've got a George Cross, why are you missing one? And you say, oh, you know, I had 5 minutes of madness a year ago. I'm not RoboCop.
People don't think about the pressure of being regarded as a hero. Clearly that is the case, then.
Everyone thinks you're going to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else, when actually that's just not true. You're still the same guy you were 6 months ago or a year ago, you know, yeah.
Coming out of the army must have been difficult.
Thankfully for me, I left the army at the same time as Liz, so we were both going through it at the same time. So Liz already had work, because with her being a nurse, I didn't.
What did you do?
I ended up selling home insurance, which was a pretty miserable existence for a while, if I'm honest with you.
What brought you to Cornwall?
Liz is from Cornwall anyway. The opportunity came up to start here, so we grabbed it with both hands. Off we came, packed our bags.
Do you think a lot about the future? Does what happened to you in the past make you more conscious of the future?
I think it makes me more grateful for everything and for what we've managed to achieve so far, and it kind of gives me the motivation to work harder and to... I survived that terrible thing, so now I feel like I almost have to do something worthwhile with what's left.
I want this garden to help Chris build on the new life he's made for himself. So I'm planning something special that might achieve that. And a big part of it has just arrived.
Katie, Francis, I need your help.
What with?
It's a delivery that's just come in. It's something that Alan's ordered. What have we got here? Let's make a chain and take this out there. What is this? A spider's web.
Oh, whoa. Careful, thank you.
You got it? You need all your arms here, and I've got one resting on my head.
Oh, careful. What will happen is Alan will come back and it'll all be done and it'll look amazing. He'll be really smug with his decision, but then he'll tell us all off because nothing else has been done in the garden, because we'll all be doing this.
It's certainly fitting in with the geometric theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just down the road are the space-age biomes of the Eden Project. So I thought we could have one of our own.
What is this?
It's a greenhouse.
How many rooms has it got?
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, I want one.
Yeah.
But there's no time to admire our handiwork. We need to crack on. David and the boys are finishing off 2 sub-bases. One for the seating area and the other for Francis's playground. But that appears to be all.
Well, they're wonderfully crisp, David, but gosh, there's a lot of them.
There are. It's going to take quite a bit of filling.
But something else concerns me. I mean, there isn't a fence. No, you see.
You can see the neighbours.
Hello.
Hi, girls.
Hello.
Well, I've got something in mind to clad that, so...
Something spectacular?
Yeah, I'll get something nice.
It's a minefield around here. Francis.
Hello.
Children's play area asked for, yes.
Well, it's a platform, or it will be a platform.
Well, it looks like nothing much at the moment. Let's just see if what I've ordered looks any better. Come on, come with me.
Oh, it does,
Right.
Alan.
Does it?
Yes.
Here we go. What do you think?
I love it. I think it's great.
Good, isn't it?
They want as easy to put up as 4 walls would have been, though, Alan.
But I didn't want a greenhouse, it's 4 walls. I wanted a geodesic dome.
Okay.
Geodesic.
Yes,
Good
it's
word.
not what you take when you've got an upset stomach or a headache. It's this particular...
It gave us an headache, put it together.
It's very true.
With building well underway, here's how I'm hoping to turn the Finney Garden into a futuristic family plot. The design is anchored by David's 3 large white raised beds. On the right, he's mirroring their shape to create a seating area. Next to which, Francis is planning a space-age playground for the kids. And at the back, I'm going to create a science fiction-inspired growing area for Chris. With Katie's ultra-modern planting bringing the whole thing to life, it should be a vision of the future. But that's a long way off. At least the new fence is going up, and it's all hands on deck. To keep it sleek and modern, we're painting each individual lath cobalt blue and spacing them out precisely 2 centimetre intervals. All 400 of them.
This is mine, a nail gun, right?
Where have you got that from?
Oh, you know, modern technology. This is a futuristic garden. You don't need hammer and nails anymore. Give us another one.
Go on, then.
Slightly quicker than you.
Watch my fingers.
I'll watch your fingers very
Yeah,
carefully.
exactly.
Right. There we are, done. I'm concerned about 2 things.
OK.
One, hello neighbours, still see them. The other, what are you going to do with the top?
Well, one, we're going to put the old fence panel behind, so that gives us a bit of privacy.
Yes.
And we were just going to cut it off so we've got a straight line rather than the higgledy-piggledy top.
Why don't you do it wavy rather like sea, so you get a sort of seaside feel?
I like that idea.
But not everybody agrees.
Alan?
Yep.
I don't like the idea of the waves.
I'm with Francis.
It looks seasidey already being blue, but I quite like the Japanese straight kind of higgledy-piggledy.
Well, it was
look.
only an idea, but then just remember whose idea it was.
And I absolutely respect your opinion completely.
I think what we need to do, you get on with your job. What we need to do is actually have a look when it's finished, and then if we like the look of it as is, leave, or take some down or
I think
whatever.
a shorter version of how it is now would be... I think it's too tall at the minute, and it looks a bit imposing.
Having been married for an awful long time, I've learnt the wisdom of 2 words. Yes, dear.
My geodesic dome is almost finished. But not to be outdone,
Can I have a hand, please?
Francis has ordered one of her own.
OK. We're going over?
Yes, please.
This hexagonal climbing frame fits our futuristic theme, but the colour's not quite right, so it's getting a makeover.
Got cramp in my finger.
Oh, stop complaining.
Something that still needs modernising is the shed, and I'm not sure that this is the answer.
David, I don't want to be harsh or ungrateful, but when I said I'd like it modern, if I'd have wanted it painted white, I could just have said, why don't you just paint it white?
Well, I haven't finished yet. I'm not going to leave you with a snow shed. What I've got in mind is this undercoat of white. Then I'm going to get hold of some fence panels that we've got over here, put them horizontal, white in the background, blue at the front.
Right.
With all this construction going on, Katie's had no chance to plant anything. So she's off on a fact-finding mission. Inspired by my geodesic dome, she's paying the Eden Project a visit to get ideas for what plants we should use.
The Eden Project is home to one of the biggest collections of plants in the world. Some are so exotic, they're almost otherworldly. look at these amazing cardoons. They're incredible, and they have this huge architectural foliage, which is just what I'm looking for. The other thing I love about them is this kind of silvery tone. They almost look metallic, which is brilliant for our futuristic style. This agave is fantastic. It's very geometric, incredibly interesting. I think a couple of those need to go in. The other thing you see here are more conventional plants, positioned to reflect the space-age look of the garden. These clipped lavender balls are like sea urchins on an ocean bed. I love the way they're planted in diagonal lines. I love these huge columns of clipped bay, and they've been put on this boundary, which is really nice because they kind of break it up. It's not a solid wall of hedging. It's these tall columns that kind of punctuate the border. We could try something like this to break up our long fence. To achieve the futuristic look that Alan is hoping for, I need to match what they've done here and find some big, bold plant shapes to match our bold landscaping.
Back in Truro, there's no chance of any planting being done yet. The fence is still going in, and the top's not being cut to shape yet. So, before anyone changes their mind...
One down, 7,246 to go. I'm going to disappear in a minute, aren't I? You wish.
David's abandoned the shed for the time being, and he and the boys have returned to the seating area. They're using a polymer deck, which has a sleeker look than timber and is non-slip. Ideal when you've 3 little ones. And Francis has found a novel way to use the offcuts.
What I'm making here is something quite retro, but it will be very futuristic when I'm finished with it. This is going to be a ball pit, and a sunken one, so actually it'll be on the same level as the ground already. And it's made out of these composite decking boards, which makes it waterproof as well. I think it'll look really good, actually.
With all the hard landscaping projects underway, we can now start to think about plants. But a few days ago, we took all the soil out so we could start building. So before we can raise a trowel in anger, we now have to put it all back.
And that means 12 tonnes of topsoil. Problem is, it's all out the front at the moment. It's all somehow got to go round the back.
Here in Cornwall, I'm beginning to wonder if we've bitten off more than we can chew. We've all manner of unfinished building projects going on, but we also need to start planting. So it's everyone to a wheelbarrow to get the soil in. Meanwhile, David's still planning to clad the shed to match the fence. But the fence still isn't finished.
So what I'm aiming to do here is get hold of these laths and then put them with a slight gap all the way around this shed so we can see the white underneath with the blue laths on top. Matt!
Yeah?
How many of these have we got?
I've got enough to do the fence and that's it.
You're winding me up.
No, that's it.
Thanks.
What can I say? You snooze, you lose. With the soil in, I can start my next project, creating a route through the garden.
The central part of the garden here is lawn, but the greenhouse is at the bottom and the terrace is at the top, so the obvious path is right the way down the centre. That means that with regular traffic, the grass will wear away. So what I want to do is to use these same pavers as we're using for the patio as stepping stones, spaced sufficiently wide apart to let the turf in between them grow, because if these gaps are too narrow and you've got something like that, turf is going to dry out in there. It's going to be completely impractical. So wider apart, I'll work on my lines, and I should then be able to get right the way down the garden and across there to that decking area, still looking reasonably contemporary, but making sure that this swathe of lawn doesn't wear out. That's the theory. Just got to make it work. I quite like the way that comes across to there, over to that corner. Then another one there. Sorry, I'm good at pointing.
It looks too many though. It looks just too. It just looks.
You're starting to lose turf, you see. It's starting to be a path, not stepping stones.
It's a lawn, so people are going to walk on the grass.
Yeah.
It's not going to.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, guys, you need to find a better use with your time.
It's far too much fun going on here.
Now her beds are ready, Kate is happier than a pig in muck.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's nice to have some green in the garden at last.
Taking a cue from the Eden project, she's planting statuesque bay trees to fill the one part of the boundary where we aren't putting in a fence.
Now, the main reason I put them along this boundary fence is to just give a nice bit of soft privacy for Chris and Liz. And repeating this column shape down the garden leads the eye to exactly where I want it to go, instead of it falling on this boundary fence. I don't want them to look at that. I want the main focus to be right down and enjoy the rest of the garden.
We've had a lot of problems to overcome here, but we must remember that it's for a war hero, and I'd like to use the garden to mark what Chris has achieved. So I've come to meet the lady who knows him best, his wife, Liz.
So, are we talking love at first sight, or did he grow on you?
Oh, no. Yeah, it was love at first sight.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is it good, Dad?
Very good dad, yeah. That's one of his best qualities, yeah. Well, they're his life, really. They're the top of his list, more than anything.
So he's a hero to them?
Yes, definitely. The strange thing is, because they're so young, they don't understand what's happened previously, but it's kind of exciting looking forward into the future that Chris is going to be able to tell them the story.
I need to put something in the garden that reflects Chris the dad as well as Chris the hero. I'll have to think about that. In Truro, Katie's moved on to the first of the giant white planters.
This is called Wistringia, or Australian rosemary. Now, it is tender, but now Chris has his greenhouse and he wanted a challenge. This is what I'm giving him to take full responsibility for. Pop a couple of these in. Now, doesn't this look cute? All lovely and soft silvery foliage, just like a puppy. But just like a puppy, it will grow up and become enormous and eat you out of house and home. This is the card dune, and it's what we saw at the Eden project, and they were enormous. It's a kind of strange plant to be able to place and can be quite difficult, but they're going to really fit in with this kind of sci-fi futuristic garden and give us a really interesting form.
And there's something rather alien-like in our new greenhouse.
In Chris's geodesic dome greenhouse, I've got him some sort of slightly space-age plants. The air plants, like this little one in here. One hanging up there, it's been put underneath a sea urchin. It looks incredibly futuristic, almost like something you'd find in the ocean. A lot of people don't have a garden, don't have soil, and they're sort of top of a tower block. Carting compost up is a real pain. So you can actually grow all kinds of plants, but particularly vegetables, in water. And this is a hydroponics unit. The tank down there is pumping this water and nutrients through this system the whole time.
Because the plants are getting their nutrients direct, rather than from the soil, they expend less energy.
In a matter of 6 weeks, you're producing pak choi like this. The growth rate, growing in this substrate here, is far faster than these vegetables growing in soil or compost. And the flavour is every bit as good as you'd get from plants grown in compost or soil. Chris has had mixed results trying to grow plants in his garden. I'm hoping this might give him the impetus to try something different and have a bit more success.
Outside the comfort of my greenhouse, there's a problem. David's shed still hasn't been addressed, and with the fence ongoing, he's running out of options.
Apart from a few struts left, I've got nothing to put on that shed over there.
But there's no time for me to deal with that now. I have a rather large delivery to attend to. Here in Cornwall, everything's finally starting to come together. In just a few hours, the Finneys will be back to see their new garden. But there's still one issue I haven't addressed: screening out that busy road.
These may look like sections of concrete drain. That's because they are, but I'm hoping to use them as planters. All we have to do is get them from the roadside into the garden, and they're quite heavy.
It's a good job I've some strong lads on my team. I'm using 2 of the sections as planters in my patch at the back of the garden.
I've got my soil in. I can now get plants in here to help mask this back. And I've chosen bamboos. Great plants, particularly in a container, because there they don't romp too far. You can restrict their roots. Yeah, perfect.
These yellow groove bamboos will send up tall stems every year, so will definitely help stop people nosing over that fence. I want this to be an exotic corner of the garden, so I'm underplanting with Katie's favourite agave.
Ooh. Lift one of those up. One of those.
In the pot?
Yeah, because these aren't hardy. So what I'm hoping I can do is to slot one, I'll sink it down a bit more, into there,
and you can
in
just
its
lift
pot,
the pot
so then in
out.
winter, you know, Chris can oil it out and keep it in the greens. Even though this is Cornwall, they can still be a bit chilly for things like this. Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, they are.
For the second planter, I'm going for another alien-looking specimen.
A lovely plant that uses every vowel in the English language. A-E-I-O-U, aeonium. Lovely thing, but again, it's tender, so I'll put it in there so it's... Look at that. Fab.
Frances has a rather sweet idea for planting up her play area.
I've been given a real gift with the plants in this bed because the 3 girls all have middle names of flowers. So we have Rose, Iris and Violet.
So, for Orla Violet, she's chosen Freckles. For Peter Iris, a bluebird wine flag. And for Erin Rose, the Olivia English rose. These may not be very exotic plants, but Frances is planting them in diagonals for a more modernist look. It's finally beginning to look like a garden. But David's determined to make more work for us.
I've just painted over Alan's markings.
Oh my God.
That's not the only reason he's in my bad books.
Staying out of that one.
The shed's still not done, and I'm running out of patience.
I can't tell you how many hours ago I asked for certain things to go on that shed over there.
I'm not
Blue
saying
bits of
anything.
wood to mask it. They've not appeared. We're short of paint, we're short of wood. I've got too many bamboos for those 2 containers. One either side of that door, I think, will just do the job of masking. So
okay.
Can we just put it in position and see if it works?
Yeah.
I think I'll settle for that because it looks as if you're going through the undergrowth.
It does.
To get into the shed. Good night. Lovely.
And Katie's got another idea to mask the shed.
So I'm putting in this yew hedge, and it's an instant hedge, so it's in these metre-long troughs, so it can go in straight away, and we want a lovely straight line right down this hedge, because everything in the garden is linear and geometric, so the hedge really has to tie in with that.
Here, Alan, you wanted a space-age garden.
Are you the urban spaceman? One small step for a gardener.
But there's no time to mess about. There's still the turf to go in.
Or brushing it under the carpet.
And no futuristic garden would be complete without a futuristic mower.
Last one! Hey!
With the fence finally finished, we're almost there.
Is it a bird? Do you like it?
I do.
Frances is completing her play area with brightly coloured balls to match her planting.
Oh, great job.
And I'm adding my final tribute to Chris. As a soldier, he received one of the highest medals of honour for his act of bravery.
There we go.
But I like to think this is what he'd like to be known for now.
Do you know what is really worrying? It's taken all of us all this time to make this garden, and now it's being looked after by that. But I'll tell you what, it's absolutely smashing. You're happy with it?
Yeah.
Pleased?
Yeah.
I think we've given Chris and Liz a garden that does look to the future.
Just a few days ago, this was a bland, boring, uninviting space. A traditional suburban plot, with nothing to excite a young family. Now it's a clean, contemporary garden with a futuristic twist. David's crisp white planters are a very modern spin on a raised bed. And his cool decked seating area is the perfect spot to chill out. And watch the girls run riot in Frances's play area, complete with ball pen and space-age climbing frame. Katie's architectural planting is the perfect backdrop to a rather special water feature. And Chris has finally got a state-of-the-art greenhouse to potter in, without worrying about the grass growing under his feet. For more information on how we built the garden, go to itv.com/Alan.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
We built this garden for a modest war hero.
To see you.
Hi. Hello.
Somewhere for him to look to the future with his young family.
Walk this way.
I hope it's a space they can all enjoy.
And I shall then say, open your eyes.
Oh my.
Wow. God, it's taking my breath away. It's amazing. It's just so much to take in. There's so many different things that you can't expect at all.
You're not. This is your sitting area there.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Children's play area. I hope you notice how the balls match the alliums.
Colour-coded.
And they also match the violets and the irises and the rose. Which are your three daughters' middle names.
Beautiful.
Now there's a challenge coming up for you now, Chris.
Okay.
The geodesic dome
Crazy.
is hydroponics.
All
All instructions will follow. So salads grow incredibly quickly in that.
Wow.
Here they are.
It's amazing. It really is.
And out here we've got these bamboos to help hide the coaches round the back.
I love the planters as well.
Can you cope?
Yeah. I was saying we had 1,001 theories of what might be, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
Nothing like this at all.
And there's one sort of final thing. There we are. Thought you'd like a water feature.
Oh, wow.
And a
Oh,
plaque.
that's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Plaque for you.
Thank you.
For your daughters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on, have a seat.
Thank
There
you.
you go. So will it make a difference,
Fence
Liz?
is amazing, yeah. It's going to be so good, isn't it?
Yes.
We're going to be out here
All
all
the
the time.
How cool is that?
How are you?
Brilliant.
Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, The Finneys had a garden that they couldn't really go in, didn't really want to go in, certainly had no time to go in, and neither did the children. I hope we've given them somewhere that, for the future, they'll find a great respite from the hard work in the garden centre. Cheers!
Cheers!
At the end of the war, do you remember, they said they were going to build homes fit for heroes. Well, I hope we've made a garden fit for a hero. I think so.
Erin, go and water the roses a bit better.
We're still absolutely loving it. We're completely in awe of the whole thing, and the girls love it.
This is probably my favourite toy, you know. Erin, what's your favourite part of the garden? The greenhouse, not the ball pool.
We're really, really grateful and really thankful for the whole thing. And yeah, he's hoping to a long, hot summer ahead to enjoy it some more.
Davina and Nikki are hoping for more heartwarming reunions in Long Lost Family tomorrow night at 9, and over on ITV2 next, Caroline Flack has all the latest from Love Island. But here on ITV, our brand new series takes off. Virgin Atlantic Up in the Air is next.